for the entrance of the official party, the invocation given by Chaplain Mitchell, and the playing of our national anthem.
Please join me for a prayer in your faith tradition as I offer a prayer in my faith tradition. Almighty God, we're most grateful for the occasion that brings us together this morning, the graduation of this Drill Sergeant Academy class. We thank you for the sacrifices of both family members who have traveled far to be here and those who couldn't be here. We thank you for the guidance, the strength, and the protection that you've provided everyone through this leg of the journey. We thank you for the relationships that have developed over these last few weeks. And as these students graduate from this course today, we're reminded that the completion of a goal brings about challenges and new opportunities. Help each drill sergeant to continue applying the principles learned as new assignments and responsibilities are assumed. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated.
Take seat!
Since 1964, drill sergeants have been responsible for training our Army's volunteer fighting force. Fort Jackson is the home to the only drill sergeant academy in our Army and is responsible for providing drill sergeants to every training center across the initial military training enterprise. For the past 55 years, the purpose of the United States Army Drill Sergeant Program has been to transform sergeants into drill sergeants, who in turn have the responsibility to transform civilians into soldiers, our national treasure. The thousands of American young men and women who have volunteered to answer the call of a grateful nation. The job of the drill sergeant is one of a professional trainer, coach, mentor, and leader. This is not an easy or simple job, and it comes with sacrifices that each drill sergeant must make in order to perform this extremely important mission. Those who are graduating today will spend the next 2 to 3 years on the trail, training the next generation of our Army. The phrase "on the trail" comes from the frontier days when cattle were driven from California to Colorado to be marketed. The original drill sergeants coined this phrase because of the similar process of moving soldiers from one place to another with few problems or losses along the way. There is a continued effort to move drill sergeants to that high degree of excellence and expertise for which they are known. The drill sergeant course is both stressful and challenging. The 9 weeks of training are broken down into 12-hour days, adding up to 471 hours of instruction. This training is a privilege reserved for the best of the best. Only the top 10% of all sergeants Army-wide are eligible to attend the drill sergeant course. Not all sergeants complete this difficult period of training. 153 sergeants were initially selected to report to Class 007-19. By their report date, 7 had already been removed from the roster, leaving 146 expected to report. On 4 April 2019, 146 candidates arrived. During the course, 33 sergeants were removed for various reasons, and 8 were added, resulting in the 121 that are graduating here today. Those graduating represent disciplined, motivated, physically fit drill sergeants who exemplify the drill sergeant creed. All 121 drill sergeants truly are the proud example of our Army and will undoubtedly transform the next generation of civilian volunteers into soldiers that are fully capable of defeating any enemy on today's modern battlefield. A drill sergeant is the most challenging and rewarding assignment that a non-commissioned officer will ever experience. They must transform civilians into soldiers and prepare those soldiers to fight and win in today's complex world. Ladies and gentlemen, identified by their distinctive headgear are the drill sergeant leaders responsible for the training and mentoring of today's graduating class. Drill sergeant leaders instruct the course in small groups of 20 candidates on average. They are highly motivated, professional, and seasoned drill sergeants. They have a minimum of 1 year's experience in the initial entry training environment from any of our Army's training centers. They were hand-selected to serve as drill sergeant leaders as a result of demonstrating expert leadership, mastery of warrior tasks and battle drills, and consistently performing at the top 1% of their peers. In addition, all have completed the 30-day TRADOC Drill Sergeant Leader Certification Program. Please join me in a round of applause for their hard work and dedication.
I thought you kept looking at the screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commandant of the United States Army Drill Sergeant Academy, Command Sergeant Major James I. Hill, Jr.
Good morning. Distinguished guests, friends, and family, again, thank you for attending today's graduation ceremony for Class 00719. As the Army continues to grow in size, so does the need for master trainers who are physically fit, mentally tough, and morally strong. Leaders who are trusted professionals, trained in warrior tasks and battle drills, charged with molding America's sons and daughters into soldiers. Soldiers who are contributing members of the team upon arrival on day one of their first unit of assignment. There is no greater responsibility nor greater honor in the United States Army than to be a drill sergeant. Over the past 9 weeks, drill sergeant leaders have coached, trained, and mentored you, providing you with a recipe for success. This is your opportunity to be great. Lead from the front in all you do. I wish you good luck and Godspeed in your future endeavors. Our guest speaker entered the United States Army Reserves in 1983 as a heavy equipment repairer. In 1991, he reclassified to the military occupational specialty of indirect fire infantryman and served as a drill sergeant until 1996, at which time he reclassified to an infantryman. He has held every leadership position, from weapons squad leader to command sergeant major. He has served at multiple duty locations, to include Fort Devens, Massachusetts, Fort Lewis, Washington, Fort McPherson, Georgia, Fort Jackson, South Carolina, to name a few. Currently, he serves as the Command Sergeant Major of the 83rd United States Army Reserve Readiness Training Center, Fort Knox, Kentucky. And he was also the Deputy Commandant here at the Drill Sergeant Academy. Please join me in a warm Team Jackson welcome for Command Sergeant Major Rybos.
Command Sergeants Major, leaders, friends, supporters, and especially the families. I want to offer a special welcome and a hearty thank you to the family members here today supporting your graduates. The support that you provide to your soldiers is truly the heart of our Army. I want to notice the 282nd Army Band. The splendor and the sense of tradition that you add to the ceremony is simply terrific, and we appreciate what you do. Well done. I want to thank Command Sergeant Major Hill and Sergeant Major Perez for the invitation to be here today. It's a huge privilege to be here with you on an occasion of such significance, graduates, that you probably don't even realize right now. Trust me, in the future years from now, you will. Take this opportunity to expand your professional network. It's a tremendous advantage and benefit to know that you have your peers out there, and you know that you can reach out to them when you need some insight on issues or situations that you're encountering that they may have already dealt with. And you can learn from each other. And this is not only with respect to drill sergeant duties. Keep this with you always, even after you graduate from the trail. Don't miss the opportunity to build that network. I want to take a moment and recognize the significance of the date today. Today and tomorrow, 75 years ago, the Allied Expeditionary Forces that landed on the beaches of Normandy, France, that turned the tide, that truly have an impact on who we are as a nation and what we are as an Army. So take a moment throughout today and tomorrow to reflect on our warrior ancestors who made such terrific sacrifices for us and for our nation, and indeed for the world. So graduates, by this time, you've been congratulated repeatedly. First, for being selected to be a drill sergeant, and then as you approach the final stages of the course. The truth is, the easy part is behind you. Now is when the work begins, and that work is tough. It can't be emphasized enough, the importance of team and supporting your battle buddies to your left and right. You will become so keenly aware of this approach that it will pay tremendous dividends throughout the remainder of your careers. And I'll touch more on that later. I want to remind you of something we chatted about yesterday in the Bowen Room when we had some time to spend together. Your emotional intelligence and your self-awareness will be some of your most important assets. You're going to be tired and worn out. This is the time that your battle buddy teams become especially important. Remember, to most effectively lead, teach, and train, inspire by the strength of your example and not motivate by the power of your personality. I will repeat that. Inspire by the strength of your example and not motivate by the power of your personality. In those days when you're worn out, your personality will not carry you, but your example will. Another thing that I'm sure has been pounded into your psyche is the fact that you will be directly responsible for America's most precious assets, its sons and daughters. In the words of one of my greatest battalion commanders, Colonel Kevin G. Merrigan, we will train as if we expect to fight. Train your soldiers with the expectation that they will absolutely face the enemies of our nation and provide to them the best possible opportunity to defeat that enemy and safely return home to their families. Immerse them into an appreciation of simple basic standards that helps them to understand that standards don't just pertain to uniforms and haircuts and greetings of the day. Those are simply tools to instill the culture. Insist that they understand that standards also pertain to such things as performance measures that build individual and collective tasks. That without the appreciation for one, then the expectation that the others will be effectively executed can be called into question. You're entering into a classic broadening assignment. As we approach the advent of the merit-based promotion system for centralized NCO promotions, the diversity of your experiences will be more valuable than ever. Your success while having stepped outside of your comfort zone will say volumes about your adaptability and resilience. These are things that promotion board members notice. Back to what I mentioned earlier about how keenly aware you'll be of teamwork. That is far from the only quality that will be developed in you by virtue of being a United States Army Drill Sergeant. As described in the Drill Sergeant Charter, you will be a master of all things that comprise the foundation of the profession of arms. You will be known as adaptive, resourceful, exacting planners, and as someone who possesses a keen propensity for attention to detail. You will be highly sought after in units in which you serve following your trail time. Indeed, the expectation is that your influence will improve the entire Army. Best of luck, Godspeed. This will defend. Thank you.
During the graduation ceremony, please feel free to come forward and take photographs at any time. Please use the area that is provided at the front left of the auditorium in order to keep the aisles clear during the ceremony. The Drill Sergeant Academy would like to recognize the supporters of the cycle for their exceptional professionalism and dedication to excellence in support of the unit's total mission. Presenting the supporter awards will be last cycle's Drill Sergeant Leader of the Cycle, Drill Sergeant Leader Yesenia Albater. The training supporter of the cycle is Drill Sergeant Leader Jade Hill for her outstanding service and dedication to the cadre of the United States Army Drill Sergeant Academy. The staff supporter of the cycle is Drill Sergeant Leader Denny Taylor, whose behind-the-scenes attention to detail kept training on track with limited distractions. Please join me in a round of applause. At the Drill Sergeant Academy, it is tradition to appropriately recognize those who distinguish themselves by their outstanding performance. In keeping with this tradition, the following awards are presented. The Drill Sergeant Leader of the Cycle is Drill Sergeant Leader who displayed the highest contribution to the entire platoon, created an impeccable learning environment, and displayed a standard for all graduating drill sergeants to follow. For Class 007-19, the Drill Sergeant Leader of the Cycle is Drill Sergeant Leader Jason Espinoza. Please join me in a round of applause for the Drill Sergeant Leader of the Cycle. Drill and ceremony is the basis for standards and discipline in the initial entry training environment. During the course, the drill sergeant candidates are instructed and assessed on their ability to perform and teach drill and ceremony positions and movements, culminating with a drill and ceremony competition. The squad that displayed the highest level of proficiency is awarded the Drill and Ceremony Trophy to be displayed until the following cycle. For Class 007-19, the Drill and Ceremony Competition winner is 1st Platoon 6th Squad, led by Staff Sergeant Willis. Please join me in a round of applause for the winning squad of the Drill and Ceremony Competition. At this time, Drill Sergeant Leader Espinoza will now assist Deputy Senior Drill Sergeant Leader Holliday in presenting the graduating class with their distinctive headgear. The Leadership Award is presented to the candidate who has displayed the highest degree of professionalism and demonstrated sound judgment while performing in leadership positions. The Leadership Award recipient and member of the Commandant's List is Drill Sergeant Landon Jernigan, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. The Iron Drill Sergeant Award is given to the candidates who displayed the highest degree of physical fitness during the Army Physical Fitness Test. The female Iron Drill Sergeant Award recipient is Drill Sergeant Alexis Harris, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Harris scored 293 points out of a possible 300. The male Iron Drill Sergeant Award recipient and member of the Commandant's List is Drill Sergeant David Kittle, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Drill Sergeant Kittle scored 296 points out of a possible 300. Each awardee will be presented with a token of appreciation and support for exceeding the standards while in the course. The Drill Sergeant Academy would like to express sincere gratitude to AUSA and First Command for donating these awards. Please join me in a round of applause for our awardees. The following drill sergeants have exceeded the course standards, demonstrated exceptional physical fitness, and maintained a grade point average in the top 20% of their graduating class. For their achievements, they are rightfully placed on the Commandant's list. Drill Sergeant Jamie Bachman, Aberdeen, South Dakota. Drill Sergeant Jamie Cooksey, Fort Eustis, Virginia. Drill Sergeant Benjamin Frank, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Drill Sergeant Bradley Hess, Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Drill Sergeant Joseph Lindley, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant John Maddox, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Matthew Meyer, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Jacqueline Montiel, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Reed Morrison, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Brendan Tirado, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Michael Tucker, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Jeremy Willis, Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Please join me in a round of applause for the Commandant's List awardees. Ladies and gentlemen, the following drill sergeants are graduates of Class 007-19. Please hold your applause and cheering until the last drill sergeant has been acknowledged. Drill Sergeant Lee Abbott, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Shane Almeida, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Kiana Andrews, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Alexander Asbury, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Andrew Barnett, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Shayna Beal, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Joseph Bergner, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant Jacob Bodine, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Christopher Boucher, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Sean Buzzle, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Rocco Candela, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Justin Caton, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Frank Cepeda, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Ben Chin, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Aaron Childress, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Dwayne Clark, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Sherlonda Dixon, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Carrie Dupuis, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Michael Edgerton, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Christopher Elmer, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Tyler England, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Arnulfo Esparza, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Edwin Figueroa Perez, Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Drill Sergeant Guadalupe Flores, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Ian Ford, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Patrick Fry, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Christina Gates, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant Justin Gonzalez, Joint Base San Antonio, Texas. Drill Sergeant Edwin Graciano, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Kyle Grover, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Kenneth Gurley, Fort Sam Houston, Texas. Drill Sergeant Caleb Hale, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Alexandria Harris, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Christopher Harris, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant David Harris, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Kayla Helton, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant Jamie Hernandez, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Tabitha Hill Rodriguez, Fort Sam Houston, Texas. Drill Sergeant Curtis Humphrey, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Freddie Herks, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Minush Jean, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Robert Johnson, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Timmy Jones, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Ryan Castris, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Luke Consul, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Morgan Koski, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Anthony Kronchek. For Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Brian Lightilla. For Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Joshua Lemaster, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Mark Lincoln, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Jeremy Lynn, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Natasha Lundy, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Brandon Moss, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Justin Macias, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Jose Macias Quintero, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Cody Mackle, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Chris Lual Mayeni, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant John Malizia, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Kenneth Marshall, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Benjamin Mathis, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Samuel Matter, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Daniel Main, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Zachary McCarthy, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Juan Mendoza, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Francisco Mercado, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Andrew Miracle, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Arturo Molano, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Billy Mollenhauer, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Aaron Moulter, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Sean Moore, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant Anthony Morales, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant Darren Odell, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Kyle Overcast, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Joseph Page, Gulfport, Mississippi. Drill Sergeant Floyd Peter, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Tucker Powers, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Yoakum Robert Kitsutsu, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Vladislav Rabayev, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Devin Rhodes, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Chastity Ricks Green for Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Terrence Romano for Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Eduardo Ruiz for Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant William Shaheen for Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Matthew Sharon, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant John Schultz, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Jeffrey Sines, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Robert Tennant, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Nathan Tolbert, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Andrew Toner, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Drill Sergeant Bradley Turner, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Crystal Vaughn, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Eduardo Vasquez, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Manuel Veloz, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Albert Bonsai, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant Eric Wagner, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Dominique Walker, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Adam Warren, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Ryan Webb, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Christopher West, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Isaac White, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Drill Sergeant Kevin Wiggins, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Stephen Williams, 108th Training Command. Drill Sergeant Stephen Wigger, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant Carlos Zamora, Fort Benning, Georgia. Drill Sergeant Jonathan Zaragoza, Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
I don't know what you're talking about. Welcome to do this.
Justin Zimla, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Please join me in a round of applause for our graduating class. At this time, our leadership awardee, Drill Sergeant Jernigan, will now present a token of appreciation to Command Sergeant Major Rodericks on behalf of Class 007-19.
behalf of Class 007-19, I'd like to present you with this token of appreciation and thank you for your kind words of wisdom.
You have now become what you set out to be, a drill sergeant in the United States Army. The Drill Sergeant Creed is your declaration of your unshakable commitment to the ideals this nation was founded upon and will continue to guarantee. At this time, drill sergeants, past and present, please stand as Leadership Awardee Drill Sergeant Jernigan leads the graduating class in the reciting of the Drill Sergeant Creed. The Drill Sergeant Creed is not a creed for every NCO in the Army. The honor and privilege is given to those non-commissioned officers that transform America's sons and daughters from civilians into soldiers who will fight and win the wars of this great nation. This will defend.
I am a drill sergeant.
I will assist each individual in their efforts to become highly motivated, well-disciplined, physically and mentally fit soldier, capable of defeating any enemy on today's modern battlefield. I will instill pride in all I train, pride in self, in the Army, and in country. I will insist that each soldier meets and maintains the Army standards of military bearing and courtesy, consistent with the highest traditions of the U.S. Army. I will lead by example, never requiring a soldier to attempt any task I will not do myself. But first, last, and always, I am an American soldier, sworn to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. I am a drill sergeant.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army song and remain standing for the departure of the official party.
March along, sing our song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have walked to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First on the fight for the right and to build the nation's might. And the army was rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won. And the army goes rolling along. Then it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. For where we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. As the drill sergeants of class 007-19 exit the building, you will be able to join them shortly.
Left, hey! Forward, forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Assassins! Assassins! Assassins, lead the way! In the early morning rain! 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 Hold your head up, hold it high! Hold your head up, hold it high! First platoon is marching by! First platoon is marching by! cover down.
Dress and ride and cover down.
40 inches all around.
40 inches all around.
Dress it right and cover down.
Dress and ride and cover down.
40 inches all around.
40 inches all around.
I left my home.
I left my home.
To join the army.
Join the army.
I left my home.
I left my home.
To join the army.
Join the army.
The day I left,
The day I left,
my mama cried.
my mama cried.
She thought that
She thought that
I would surely die.
I would surely die.
I left my wife
I left my wife
crying at the door.
crying at the door.
She knew that
She knew that
I could die at war.
I could die at war.
I left my son
I left my son
playing in the yard.
playing in the yard.
See that at least
See that at me,
made him cry so hard.
didn't cry so hard.
Oh, we are weak.
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 We join the army.
Join the army.
We join the army.
Join the army.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Assassins! 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 Lead the way!
Left, left.
This concludes the graduation ceremony. On behalf of the Commandant and the Cadre of the United